So, okay. So, in today's session, we will be talking about how to teach math in English and improve in both subjects. And today we will discuss how the training was developed, what CLIL is, why it is important to teach math to young learners of English. We'll talk about the important math notions, and finally, we'll find out how to structure a math lesson for learners of English. So let's start. First of all, who inspired this wonderful session? It's Valentina Shvedka. Valentina Anatolievna is our inspirer, but also it's important to admit that now CLIL Ukraine is a part of foreign language teacher training capacity development project, which is called Multi-Ed. And this project is focused on CLIL and how to teach other subjects in English. And also it became possible because we cooperated with the Center of Professional Education, which is settled in Bristol and in Odessa as well. So let's start. First of all, what is CLIL? I hope you all know that CLIL is content and language integrated learning, and it is about teaching so many subjects in English. So the basic principles of CLIL are content, communication, using language to learn, cognition, we develop thinking skills, and finally, we try to incorporate culture into our teaching. So in other words, when we teach using CLIL principles, we use the language to communicate. We communicate all the time. So it is important to know what is the subject matter, because if we teach math, then it is the mathematic language that we will be using. Subjects are taught in very simple, comprehensible ways, and it's not a big mistake if you use L1, if you use, for example, Ukrainian or Russian in the language classroom. It's okay, because you need to make this material comprehensible for your language students. So today I will be sharing my case, the case of me and my colleagues, how we taught math to young learners of English. It became possible, first of all, due to quarantine and online teaching, because we became so well developed in Zoom and teaching that we decided to teach online all summer. So we taught these courses in summer, during this summer. And of course, it became possible due to our cooperation with the Center of Professional Education, Step Up. Just if you have a chance, or if you want to develop this program in your school, I will share with you all materials later. If you're interested, I will gladly share with you all materials. But you also need to understand that a teacher of English can teach math well up to the 4th or the 5th grade. I'm not talking about the kids of basic school. I'm not talking about the 6th grade and up, because it may be difficult. But if you decide to teach young learners, you will see it's easy to be a great success. So, a couple of words about Step Up. Step Up is a special training center, professional training center that prepares for the British GCSE certificate, general certificate, and then you can enter other universities. But our students are not at this level. We're just using Svetlana Harshkova's, who is the director of the center. We're just using her materials, her advice, and I will tell you later about the NAGVA program platform that we're using. So, why it is important to use math or to teach math to young learners of English? In our opinion, first of all, they can learn lots of new words, but usually they are not really happy with the textbooks or they start playing games and get too excited. Math gives a chance to cope with the difficulties of learning English and also to improve in math. Also, you will see that math is very simple at the first, from the first to the fourth grades. So a teacher of English can teach math and improve their learners in both subjects. Okay, those were the main moments, and now let's go to teaching math. So what did we do during the summer? What did we teach? Of course, we taught numbers, we taught counting, we taught shapes, measurements, and much more. And now let's see how we did it. So I will be talking about grade 1 first, and then we'll proceed to grades 2, 3, and 4, but actually we didn't teach grade 4 really well. They used the materials of the 3rd grade. So first of all, we start with numbers, shapes, and basic vocabulary. For example, here you can see the very basic worksheet where we know that our kids already have learned fruits and vegetables. We introduced shapes, and here is the basic worksheet when they could say a peach is a circle, or a plum is a circle as well, or an oval, for example. A star fruit is a star, and so on. So that is how we connected fruits and vegetables and with shapes. And next step was counting. So we are still teaching shapes, but we can already combine them with numbers. And here is a worksheet for the same grade. For grade 1 or grade 1 or 2, it will be good. And they already can color, then they can count, and they can answer simple questions. How many squares, how many circles, how many triangles, and so on. Yeah? So meanwhile, or while you are teaching vocabulary, you also need to use this vocabulary for basic math operations. The basic math operations are very simple, but they are a great fun for kids. When they count, for example, 4 squares plus 3 squares is 7 squares. Yeah? So you can use this worksheet for practicing shapes, but also you can use it for practicing math. The same is with the next worksheet. They count the carrots and they can either tell numbers or they can use carrots. This is a very simple but a very good activity because kids get excited with counting. They count the objects, and that is how they are able to practice basic vocabulary. Because in the 1st and 2nd grades, usually the vocabulary is simple, you just name the things. And using such worksheets and using such a way of teaching, it is easy to remember the simple vocabulary. So after that, or that is maybe the 2nd or the 3rd class, when we introduce the notions of greater, less, and equal. So first of all, it is easy to remember because L, less, it's the same as the same sign, yeah, so the same letter, and that is greater. And lots of worksheets may be used to compare the number of objects, what is greater, what is less. Again, this is a very similar type of practice of vocabulary to math operations, because here we also count and then decide what is greater and what is less. And it's fun because as soon as you master this operation, you can do the same with so many subjects, with so many like vocabulary units. For example, here you see that this is a productive way to review other vocabulary. For example, I just put one slide, but we have lots of cards like this. When this is from topic school, when they had to compare books to scissors. This is from topic toys and transport, when they had to compare bicycles to trucks. And this is the topic body parts, when they compared the number of fingers to the number of toes. Again, these are the tasks for the kids of the first and second grades. And the counting is very basic at this time, but also you use this counting for vocabulary practice. So we see that we started with shapes, yeah. So then we compared shapes to the vocabulary we know. Then we added counting. With counting, we could do simple math operations. So then we used comparisons, and they were able to do comparisons. And these comparisons were introduced in all topics that we were studying. Like as soon as you learn this math operation, it becomes a part of the routines. So it means that every time we study a new topic, we do the same. We count, we compare later, more, less, greater. So we do it all the time. So then, and you see that such the worksheets for less than and greater than, they may be found online. Lots of worksheets, and again, they are combined with the basic vocabulary. So we learn the vocabulary. Later, we will use the same operation, but with bigger numbers. It will be for the third grade, the fourth grade, and we also do ordinal numbers. Sometimes it seems a bit strange to start doing ordinal numbers in the second grade, but math is based on ordinal numbers. So this is an example of the worksheet we used for the second grade and for the first as well. When again, topic transport, yeah. So and what number is the minibus? The minibus is number 8. Yeah? And then they practice the 8s. Yeah? And also the worksheets like what transport is the 3rd, the 5th, the 9th, the 11th, and so forth. So the ordinal numbers, it's, you know, when teaching maths, for me, it is always fun to see how it develops in further topics, because there is no need to teach math for math. when we teach math as teachers of English, we teach it for language development as well. And when we teach ordinal numbers, we can remember, or we always remember, that ordinal numbers will help us when kids start doing fractions. And fractions, a couple of words about fractions. British and American education, they pay great attention to fractions, and fractions, they start learning or doing fractions from the 3rd grade, imagine. And according to our Ukrainian program, the fractions are studied at the very end of the 3rd grade, and they are only mentioned. But for the British schools, fractions start very early. They even do fractions in the kindergarten, and they start doing fractions with very simple operations. For example, this is an example of how to do fractions at the 2nd grade. We did this the 2nd and 3rd grades. So we count the butterflies. We see that there are 7 butterflies. Yeah. So, and then we start answering the questions. How many butterflies are orange? They are 4 out of 7. So here we will need ordinal numbers, because the number, the fraction of the butterflies will be 4 sevenths. Like for this, it will be just 4 sevenths, like this. And the same will be with the next question. How many butterflies are blue? 2 out of 7. Yeah? And we'll see that again, they will practice the fraction 2 sevenths. So here it is seen where the ordinal numbers are used. And how we can use them for developing kids' thinking, because this is fun, and fractions as a topic, they may be used with so many other topics, like food, like city, like people, family. And fractions in British and American education, they play a great role. And I should admit that we probably need to introduce more fractions into math, into our school math, because first of all, it is really connected to vocabulary, and it develops kids' understanding about the whole and the parts of the whole. And in our case, we also, like here is an example of connecting shapes with fractions, and it can be, the tasks can be like this. The quarter of 4 is, and they say that it's 1/4. Yeah. So it is also an example of how it can be connected with other topics, such as shapes. Yeah? At this point, fractions are connected with shapes. Okay, so let me erase this, and we'll go further. Okay, up to now, we have already discussed what to do with fractions, what to do with ordinal numbers, and how to work with very simple problems. However, when we think about English teaching, we mostly think about the language. We don't believe in practicing numbers all the time. And probably if you want to start a class, a math, if you want to start a math program for your teacher, for your students of English, you probably won't do lots of bare problems, because the problems I showed you before are called bare problems. It means that they are just for counting. However, for us as English teachers, it would be better to do more advanced tasks, which are called story problems or word problems. And we can start with the simplest problems. And you see that at the very beginning, it is even not necessary to use the words. We can use the symbols. There are 5 fish, there are 2 fish. What is the sum? You see that if we look at these problems, we will see that here we practice not so many language structures. The structures will be there are, what's the sum? Then another structure will be there are 3 bunnies, 3 more bunnies come, how many? Yeah? Like another structure will be more and how many. And the third structure here will be I have 4 apples, I buy 4 apples more. You see that we have more again. And how many do I have now? This problem is just quite easy for the kids of the 1st grade with some training. Because for training this problem, like for preparing to do this problem, we do, first of all, the structure. And the structure here will be there is, there are, what is the sum, more, how many I have. Yeah? So, and the problems like this, they can, like we created such problems for every topic, and they are the next stage after counting. You count, you do the sums, you do math, you subtract or you add, and you do bare problems. But if you want to teach English, you have to go to word problems or story problems. And we start doing story problems with very, very simple tasks like this. So word problems become more advanced. And for example, this is an example of word problems for the 2nd grade. Yeah? You see that it already, or such problems, they already have all structures in one problem. Like Alan has 3 kites and a guitar. We practice here the topic toys. All these problems are for the topic toys. His friends bring 2 yo-yos and 6 monsters. You see that here it is the 2nd grade. So the kids already read the word, but we don't want them to be embarrassed, or we don't want we want them to be successful. So we put also the picture after the word or before in front of the word, so that the kids, if they don't remember how to read, they will remember how to pronounce the word just because they know it. And these are the problems for the 2nd grade. It is easy, but you see that what we practice here, when we see kites, guitar, yo-yos, monsters, they all are toys. And this is very important because toys is the name of the topic. Toys is the name of the category. And very often it is difficult for the kids to say, for example, I have 5 fingers, 10 fingers and 10 toes. How many body parts or how many body parts do I have? Or how many toys do I have? Or how many fruits do I have? So like giving the category for the vocabulary is also good for practicing this vocabulary. So when we develop problems for the learners of the 2nd grade, all our problems, they will be connected with the categories. Like first of all, we will be talking about the vocabulary, and then we'll give the category. Toys, body parts, school things, and like all the things that can be useful. So after that, we can go to a more difficult, to a more advanced level, but it's the same type of a word puzzle. Here you see that we introduced new words, and it's very important to introduce new words. We introduce new words, and then we look at the picture, we describe the picture, we count the animals here, and then we do the word problems. Such word problems, they are also fun because here we use other structures like inside, outside, we talk about the colors, and we learn another important structure, are left. How many toys are left, how many animals are left, and so on. So these were the tasks for grades 1 and 2. Once again, let's review. We started with fruits and vegetables. They knew them, and that is how we learned the shapes. We counted the shapes. With shapes, we did simple math problems. We learned about greater, less, and equal. And we also used this math operation for all other topics. We did lots of greater, less, and equal, even with grades 3 and 4. Then we learned ordinal numbers, and ordinal numbers were used for bear puzzles, and also ordinal numbers were used for doing fractions. Fractions later were coupled with shapes, and the best part of teaching math for English teachers, story problems or word problems. At the very beginning, we don't use words, we just use pictures for the vocabulary, and then we start using words and pictures. We practice basic structures, and here at the 3rd stage, we use only words, and we take a picture to support these basic structures, to support the words. And now I'll quickly tell you about teaching math in the 3rd and 4th grades. It's a bit different because counting is more advanced, but with counting it's okay. They do multiplication, they do division. It is pretty simple for them, but math problems, they become word problems, they really become more advanced. And we usually have simple problems, but also this is one of my favorite tasks. When we have saying, for example, one adult cat eats 14 packets of cat food each week. And kids have to create questions. This is a great task for the kids of the third and the fourth grades, because they create questions like how many packets you need for 5 kids, how many, so they can count how many packets of food does each cat eat every day. And this is the example of when you practice thinking skills, when you practice math, and you also practice this idea of asking questions and working with the language. Another example of problems for the third and the fourth grades would be elapsed time problems when we add time. So the problems for them, or the problems for them, they will also have pictures. The pictures will be with different explanations, and then there will be many questions. And finally, with the fourth and the third grades, we did measurements. And I should say that measurements are very different in British education, because, for example, they always try to compare, like bike, 8 grams or 8 kilograms. Then they try to make kids think about the world around them, and this is how kids can apply measurements to their everyday living. So that was the fourth, the third and the fourth grades, and I want to conclude with tips how to build a good math lesson for English learning. First of all, do all warming up activities you can do. They may be brain teasers, counting, bear problems, and so on. Then introduce a new math topic, for example, fractions, and review English vocabulary that you want to connect with this topic. With fractions, the best topic to connect would be lots of food, cities, even animals. And then tasks that connect vocabulary with math, they are word problems. So after that, you are free to start doing word problems to practice language structures and to develop the language of your learners. This is an example of warming up activities. We guess the number, so we put the numbers in decreasing order. We count in threes and continue the rows. It is for the third grade. Then we do addition, subtraction, multiplication. It depends on the topic. Then we review the vocabulary and do problems. Here the example is food problems, and that's it. And that's it. Yeah. So every class is full with information. Kids work and they train their brains. And if you ask me what to do after grade 4, I would advise to cooperate with the Center of Professional Education, because it allows you to be a part of the NAGVA platform. And it's already a difficult, for me, it's a bit difficult level of learning maths. We're doing it, like Sergei Nikonenko, he's here with us today. He is developing this course for the students of the 5th and 6th grades, but it's already another, so a more advanced level. I would recommend to start with the basic levels. Okay, Now our session is coming to an end, and if you have questions, you will Zoom again. Yeah, you will come to my next session, and I will answer your questions. Okay? Okay. So come on. You are free. You are free to enter the next session. I'll start the session and answer all the questions that you have.